filmed for you at the American Star Academy Studios in New York City.
Hi, this is Shellen Lubin, and I am here today with you to clarify a very important and basic, essential element of the voice. And it's a word, and the word is approximation. And I want to explain it to you because as you get into more advanced work, it becomes more and more critical. But even at the beginning, it's an important idea and something to understand, but it's a little bit technical, so I'm going to explain some of the technical stuff to you. The voice. I know they're called vocal cords, but they're actually folds, vocal folds in the back of the throat, and they vibrate as the air. The way that sound is produced is air is coming up, and it's coming through the vocal folds, and it vibrates in the vocal folds. So as the air is coming through the vocal folds, they vibrate. Now, how quickly they vibrate, how quickly or slowly they vibrate, determines the pitch of the sound. But how close together or how far apart they are when they vibrate determines how much of the air becomes sound and how much of it remains air. And that's where approximation comes in. When the highest percentage of air is becoming sound, that is what an approximated tone is. That is the best approximation. And when it's the highest amount of air, it's the least approximation. And I'm going to show you in my voice both of them so you can get an idea, okay? So here's a very approximated tone. E. Here's a very unapproximated tone. E. Lots of air, you can hear it. I'm going to do the same thing now in my lower register, in my chest voice, right? So a very approximated tone, E, a very breathy or unapproximated tone, E. Now, why is this so important to the health of your voice? The more air going through your vocal cords, the more damage to your vocal cords or vocal folds. So the more approximated the tone is, the better pure the sound is, the healthier your voice is. Does that mean that you shouldn't sing breathily if that's the quality that you want in a song? No, of course not. But certainly, just like a dancer who has to, the choreographer gives them very, very difficult jumps that are really hard on their knees, has to really stretch those knees extra before they do those jumps. In the same way, if you're going to do very breathy singing, you need to warm up your voice even more and make sure it's an even, juicier place so that it's more ready to get the wear and tear of a more damaging kind of sound. Now, it's really funny because most people thought that Ethel Merman was being really hard on her voice, you know, when she sang, "Y'all be swell," but actually that's not. That's actually very easy on your voice. What's much harder on your voice, which people didn't realize, was like Billie Holiday singing, "I don't know why, but I'm feeling so sad." That's actually much harder on your voice. Have you ever had laryngitis and someone has told you don't whisper? Maybe a doctor has told you don't whisper. That's because whispering is all air. So if your voice is already damaged and you just go like this, you're actually doing the worst possible stuff for it. You want to use as much clean voice as possible. So the work that we're doing is to try and get the best approximation possible when you vocalize. Remember, when you sing, it's up to you. You sing whatever you want to sing. You sing heavy rock, and I'll tell you, I work with a lot of rock singers. The more you vocalize before you sing heavy rock that's really grating on your throat, the less damage you will do. There are also ways around that, but we'll talk about that some other time, that there are ways of doing that sound that don't actually hurt your voice as much. But Let me give you some exercises, just some straight tones to work on this clean approximation. Now, when you're trying to get a clean approximation, another thing that you're trying to do is get as much vibrato out of the sound as possible, to sing what's called as much straight tone as possible. It's like a straight line of sound. Because the vibrato in the voice often, particularly in young people, comes from the voice being out of control. A healthy vibrato in a young person is so fast and so tight that it doesn't even sound like vibrato. It sounds more like a spin, like a beautiful little spin on the voice. But you won't even get it unless you work with this very straight white tone with a very clean, very good approximation. So it's not that ultimately we want you to have no vibrato. We just want a really clean, healthy vibrato. So that's the way you're working, is to get a straight line of sound. Now I'm going to give it to you on a straight tone exercise, but as you're working, it's really good for you to try and get that straight tone at the end of, let's say, a 5-note scale, so that instead of just dropping off when you do A and just losing it, that you get A with a nice clean line of sound at the end. It means you're kicking in the stomach muscles more. It means that your voice is even healthier and working even more effectively to warm you up. But right now, let's do a straight tone in both the lower and the upper registers, just working on this idea of the straight line of sound. In the lower register, we're going to do it on A, ah, A, because we always start with bright vowels in the lower register. They're the easiest ones. So we're going to sing A, ah, A. You try that. Great. Keep going up. I'll do every few with you. Bright smile through the two vowels. And if it helps, extend an arm as you sing. It'll help you get that line of sound you're going for. Great, now let's do the same thing in the upper register. This time we're going to do it on rounded vowels, because rounded vowels are the easiest in the upper register. Let's do it on I, short I, and E, long E. So it's going to be E. Try that one. Again, use hands. You can even use two, right? One for each one as you go. The more you dig into the shape, the easier it'll be. Get as straight a line of sound as you can. And be aware when you're vocalizing, it's always going for the greatest approximation, especially when we get to pianissimo, where you don't ever want to get the sound from tightening up, closing up, getting a different sound. You want the same shapes, you want the same grounding in the stomach muscles, and you want those to be working to make a clean pianissimo. Let me just show you that also. And in the upper register. So if you want, you can go back and you can try those pianissimo, but never by tightening up, never by closing up. And we're going to do a lot more on pianissimo down the line. So the point is you want to get as good an approximation always when you're vocalizing. And when you're working on your songs, it's always a good idea to do them once first with a good clean approximation, also chewing the vowels, and we're going to go more into vowels and consonants in that section. And I want you to watch the vowel and consonant section because that's a good thing. And I've talked before about chewing the vowels. You want to do that first time that you're running the song. And if you're doing a song that's very hard on your voice, be aware of it now. Be aware. And maybe don't do that song 5 times because it's going to wear down your voice, even if you are well warmed up. So I just want you to understand all this about approximation as you go on and do the other exercises. Bring this into that, okay? Thank you so much. This is Shellen Lubin, and I look forward to working with you more back in all those other exercises.